This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Okay, you ready, Trenton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Everybody's out. Quiet on the set. 3, 2, 1.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha show on News Radio 1110 KFAB. We're brought to you by D&M Roofing, Omaha's premier commercial and residential roofing contractor, and of course, NAI, NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. My name is Jeff Beals. I am your co-host, and I'm sitting next to the other co-host. We like to call him the legendary real estate deal maker, because that's kind of what he is, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Hope it's been a good week for you. I know
hot, but it's been a great week.
Yeah, it has been plenty hot, but that doesn't matter. It's the middle of summer, and we can handle that. But Trenton, I tell you, even though it's hot, I was at Nebraska Crossing a few days ago, and the place was busy. A lot of people there buying things, getting great deals. I always swore when I was a kid I would never utter these words as an adult, so I'm going to violate my promise.
Here we go.
Back to school shopping. A lot of people are doing back to school shopping right now. If you're going to do it, I don't like to think about school starting because it just means the homework wars are beginning again in our family in a few weeks. But if you still have to get your back to school shopping, that's where you want to do it. Last week, we talked about 2 new retailers there, Grunt Style and Wolfgang Bakery. We also told you a couple weeks ago that we've got some big national names coming there that we'll be able to tell you about soon. Still not ready to mention them, but they're coming, and we're getting closer. We're thinking in a few weeks. Also, August 21st, we'll be doing a live remote from Nebraska Crossing, and hopefully we'll be able to say those 2 big national names.
At Grunt Style. I'm looking forward to that.
That's right. We'll be inside the Grunt Style store. And so we always love doing our live remotes out there because a lot of listeners come by and say hi and all that sort of thing. And as Trenton likes to say, we do not sign any body parts.
That's true.
Now, make sure, if you haven't done it already, that you get your Fast Cash hooked up on your Nebraska Crossing app because you can get 15% back on all of your purchases at the major retailers there. Well, let's go, Trenton, straight into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. We send, anytime someone comes to Trenton and me and they say, I got a refi, or my aunt is going to buy a new house, who should she get to do her loan?
Call Holly.
Holly takes
Eagle
good
Mortgage,
care of people.
eaglemortgagecompany.com.
Conventional FHA, VA, they do all of that. So feel free to talk to them if you're thinking about refinance or buying a new house, eaglemortgagecompany.com. So, Trenton, the big news this week was Joslyn Art Museum. Now, we knew from, maybe a couple of years ago that this was coming down the pike. There has been talk about a major addition. And a while back, perhaps about a year ago, people were talking about a signature piece of architecture. And I can remember a year or two ago, people saying, Omaha doesn't have enough of those world-class architecture buildings. And so Joslyn went and worked with an extremely prestigious architect, and renderings were released this week for a 42,000 square foot addition, $100 million project.
$100 million. I remember when $100 million was a lot of money.
Do you know?
I think it still is, though.
In the late 1980s, when Jobbers Canyon was demolished and the Riverfront ConAgra campus was built, huge project, 5 buildings, and all of that sort of stuff. Do you know what the total cost of that was?
How much?
Only $60 million.
Really?
And so now, that just shows you how much has changed. Now,
to build all of ConAgra's campus
was $60 million. Now, 42,000 square foot addition to an art museum, albeit a nice addition, is a $100 million project. That shows you what can change in 30-some years.
Absolutely.
But I like it. So have you seen the renderings?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I cannot wait to see what it's like. I cannot wait to walk through. It's going to take a few years. Scheduled opening would be 2024. The addition is going to be known as the Rhonda and Howard Hawks Pavilion, primarily focused on modern art. But as I look at the rendering, you see the classic 1930s Joslyn Museum with all of its Art Deco beauty. To the north, you see what I thought was a very nice, tasteful addition put on in the 90s. And then this would be kind of to the east of that. So if you're looking at the main steps going up to the iconic entrance to Joslin, this would be to the northeast of that.
Okay.
But can't wait to see it. It's going to look great. And these are the types of amenities we want to keep adding in our city.
I think it's a huge refresher, but it kind of, you got the classic there, and you're refreshing it, and with the new Illuminarium coming and other hot spots, I think that this will bring people back to the Joslin like never before.
Well, and we've always talked on this show about the importance of Omaha being the 3-day weekend destination. I mean, we're never going to be the place where someone takes a week-long vacation in January, for God's sake. But we want to be the place where someone does the 2 or 3 nighter over the weekend because we have the great restaurants. And truly, we are a culinary capital of the Midwest. And with the new Science Museum, with improving an already good Joslin, I know a lot of out-of-town people who thoroughly enjoy going to the Durham Museum as well. So, and then you throw in the zoo and some of the other
music
things.
venues.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're really starting to step up that game and being more of that regional draw for someone taking that short vacation.
Anybody that lived in Omaha or visited Omaha 10 to 20 years ago, you won't recognize Omaha.
Yeah, and that's generally a good thing.
That's a positive thing.
Yeah. Hey, yesterday, or rather a couple days ago, Trenton and I were at the ribbon cutting for 8601 Dodge Street. This is that really long building. We've talked about it a couple times over the last year because it has been going through this huge renovation. Well, that is now fully done. And this was the building that, like I said, it's a really long horizontal building, 3 stories tall. It actually holds up the Leo A. Daily headquarters to the south. And we had a ribbon cutting because NP Dodge Residential Sales has one of its residential sales offices in there. We had kind of the official ribbon cutting. Mayor was there, a lot of the executives from the Dodge company. That building turned out really nice. And then we also mentioned last week that a freestanding Starbucks is under construction in the parking lot.
That's what that dirt is there for. They opened up part of the parking lot, and that'll be neat. And then there's room for another full-service restaurant to the east. And then they have some space on the 2nd and 3rd floors for office space.
Well, the Blackstone Improvement District is the entity, or I should say the Blackstone Business Improvement District. But that's the entity that kind of protects and looks after and coordinates efforts in and around the Blackstone District. And plans were released this week for a $4.5 million improvement package. Would really be focused on the streetscape, traffic flow. Basically, if you go through Farnham right now, which is the spine of the Blackstone District, there are 2 lanes going west and 1 lane going east. Proposal says let's narrow those lanes just a little so that it kind of makes for a little bit more of an intimate urban feeling, slows traffic down a bit, put in a center turn lane, and do a lot of lighting and sidewalk improvements. And one of the things they want to do, Trenton, and I know this from a couple of times stumbling from bar to bar in the Blackstone District over the last couple of years, some of those sidewalks as currently configured are pretty damn narrow.
Well, I don't see you stumbling anywhere.
A couple times, yeah.
Or
probably.
going bar hopping that often, at least not in Omaha. You might hide it when you go out of town or something like that.
A couple times.
But you hide it well. But it makes sense to put a foot or 2 more on the sidewalks. If you think kind of just to the east where Midtown Crossing is, they did a nice job on those sidewalks around those retailers, and you've got that diagonal parking there. And so I think it's due. I think that the lighting elements will be good, and it's a natural progression of all the economic development that's done around there in the Blackstone area.
And then, of course, we do have a project coming to the Blackstone area that we're very excited to see come out of the ground. That is the 9-story mixed-use building that would be immediately west of the Kimpton Cottonwood Hotel on what is primarily a surface parking lot right now. That thing cannot start soon enough because the renderings of that building, I think, are off the chart cool. So, Trenton, I took a little drive a few days ago on Harney Street, and we've been talking about this Harney Street bikeway. Have you had a chance to drive it yet?
No. Is it in place?
It's cool, yeah. So it goes from downtown. Now it doesn't go all the way down to the old market yet. It kind of stops temporarily where they're doing all that construction by the Juvenile Justice Center by the Douglas County Courthouse. But west of that, it goes all the way out to Midtown. And so what they've done, they took the southernmost lane on Harney Street, and
It's dedicated, right?
it's dedicated. And so now it became 2 lanes for bikes, so 2 little lanes. And then on the north edge of that, there are a whole bunch of these little plastic, they're kind of like plastic bollards. A bollard is, for those people that don't know construction terms, is one of those concrete-filled, yellow-painted metal tubes that prevents you from ramming your car into the quick shop or colliding with a window on a drive-through. They're like littler plastic versions of bollards, and they've painted some white lines. But they have parallel parking for the cars has moved out, and so you actually can parallel park your car in 2 or 3 blocks of parking spaces that are defined by paint and bollards. But that said, it is really cool. The only concern I have is how will these bollards hold up when city plows are recklessly pushing 2 feet of snow around? And I'm worried about jackasses who will maybe try and run the things over or something like that.
Hopefully not, but I think
Hopefully I didn't give anyone an idea.
there'll be a lot of scooter drivers on that too, I bet.
Oh, yeah, I suppose there would be. I think it's a great idea. It looks cool as can be. And it's my understanding if this works well, it's kind of a pilot, they would make it more permanent. So I'm wondering if that would be maybe something a little more durable than plastic little sticks. But we'll see. Great idea. I think it will be used like crazy, obviously, during the good weather.
It'll definitely be watched.
Okay. Equitable Bank has just opened a branch office. So Equitable Bank is out of Grand Island, Nebraska. It's a $425 million bank. Been in Omaha for several years. Office right in Old Mill South. And so they decided, hey, we want to have a bigger presence here in Omaha. So they just opened this new branch office, and it looks great. It's at 202nd and Pacific, about 3,500 square feet, full service. And so if you're interested in checking that out, drive by sometime.
That's a hot area with the grocery store and everything.
Good grief. Yeah, it's amazing every time you go by there, all the construction that's happening. Well, that is your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. They know mortgages like nobody knows mortgages, and you can find them at eaglemortgagecompany.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about construction. We sometimes like to kind of, geek out a little bit on construction projects, talk construction, and we have Patrick Sokol with us. He is the Nebraska market leader for Turner Construction, and so stay with us. It's never better than when we talk about construction, right? All of that coming up on Grow Omaha. You're listening to the show brought to you by NAINP Dodge and D&M Roofing on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Did you just stop it at all?
I just reset it when we start over.
So now we need to bring in a chair for Patrick.
Okay.
You see, Eileen, you were all nervous that you were the third one. We're going to get you out of here so fast you won't even believe
I
it.
don't want you to get me out of here too fast.
Patrick, I warmed up the mic for you.
I always feel bad. I always feel bad when we have people wait for their
And careful,
last segment.
Eileen, no dirty jokes because we have this called Uncut, and so we just don't want to get you in trouble.
We have said a few things on Uncut from time to time that we probably shouldn't have.
Does that need to be adjusted, Ames?
I don't think so. I got all that covered.
All righty. Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
So Patrick, so we talked. Okay, so we're going to talk Turner's focus, what we are working on, staff needs, pre-con approach, continue to invest in the community, workforce development.
Yeah, if you want to.
We're getting ready to sign a lease on a warehouse space. That's for you guys to occupy?
Build out
Okay.
a warehouse space for special projects operation, and then we're going to have
Where
a
you going?
prefab shop in there. In Sarpy County, basically 370 and Highway 50 out there.
Oh, okay.
Somewhat adjacent to the
Okay.
large work we're doing. So
And then you're going to switch offices? Or-
we're going to put probably 3,000 square feet in there.
Oh, so your office will be out there too then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's
okay.
building?
Right.
If only we could find a contractor to build this for us.
Exactly.
So when we talk about some of the stuff we're working on, we're thinking projects. Maybe we want to mention a few projects. Is that okay?
Yeah, I thought just a little bit on Verizon, Merck, the Chase build out here.
The Chase
that's
build up
happening.
really brings it home for a lot of people. I think it makes shows how you do smaller projects too. I think that's important.
The other thing we can mention, so we are working on a project, we've been developing it now for 8 months with the Nebraska Youth Justice Initiative.
Oh, is that up
They're
at
just
50
going to
the
announce
names?
it here pretty soon, but it is public. It's been out there. I don't want to talk a lot about it because it's somebody else's show, but it is really our probably our largest ground up outside of all the data center work
Okay.
that's going on. It's going to be somewhere, construction value 15.5 million, total project cost maybe 22.
So this is a facility.
Is it by 50
Yep, it's
the
going to be
names?
it's going to be in North Omaha.
Yeah.
And it's basically going to try to limit the, getting in trouble, going straight to prison. It's going to be basically in the middle of that, it's more of a mental health
Almost like a
institution.
diversion, almost like a diversion
Yeah,
sort of
and
thing.
it's not my thing. It's really
Yeah.
Quinn, and there's a whole group of people. So I don't want to get too deep. If
It's
you
like
want to mention
Scared
it later, we can shift it to another. Quinn would really like to bring them in, Blair Freeman and
Whatever you guys
NYJI.
want.
and
Yeah, we're
talk about
friends.
It would
Yeah.
be great.
Ashley
So,
Kuhn's
yeah, she's
Yeah,
fantastic.
great.
Yeah.
We'll do
Amanda
it.
was
Yeah, if you guys ever want us to interview someone, one of your clients, just let us know. We'll
Yeah,
do that.
we definitely want to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you said Verizon, and you said Merch.
Merck.
Mercantile.
No, Merck, the animal health.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a huge
pharmaceutical
project.
company out, and then we're not doing the big project, but we're doing pretty much everything else.
Where's that?
That's out there. So that's on West Center Road on the other side of 204.
Oh yeah, that's been
Been
there
out there.
forever.
It used to be Shear and Plow, and
We had,
now we're
Just the
bought it,
elbow.
so
No, just the elbow. It was fine.
we
So-
got- we
That's
got
why
a
I was
great crew
moving.
out there.
how is it?
Okay.
Look
And
at
then I noticed
now
you
and
have
now.
something. I noticed you're signing around a retail space right by the old Relax.
Tell me what.
Or Relax the Back store. Is that?
Yeah, it used to
something we
be
can talk about?
Western Boots.
Oh.
That's a Chase build out. We're excited
Oh, that's
because it's
gonna
the
be
first
Chase?
time we have a fence with our fence wrap up around it, so people have taken
No,
notice that
up
Turner's
the
out and
elbow.
about in the
Just
community,
like
which
this.
is great.
Okay, and we can say that one too.
Yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
fantastic.
that's a Montclair.
Perfect.
And that
That's
was
good,
it was
Bobby.
it was Boots first. Is that Boots?
It was like a Western Boots.
Western Boots. Okay.
I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly the name
I'll
of
put
it.
that in the newsletter too. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. We'll have about 10, 11 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
It's
Is that
like
good?
a long time, yeah.
Okay. Oh, believe me, it goes
Hopefully,
fast. Yeah. Okay. All right, you ready? 3, 2. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, the area's only show that focuses on the growth and development of your favorite city. I'm Jeff Beals, sitting next to Trenton Magid. We represent NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing. Eric Obrumt is the owner there. He has put together an outstanding team of people who do great work and take care of clients. So if you are looking for a new roof on your house, call D&M Roofing. If you are a decision maker or owner of a commercial building, they have an amazing preventative maintenance program that really takes care of commercial roofs. dndmroofing.com. Well, periodically we like to talk construction, and so we brought in a construction expert. We have with us Patrick Sokol. He is the executive in charge of the Nebraska market for Turner Construction. Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, it's always good to have you on the show. Welcome back. And we love talking construction because ultimately that's pretty much what Grow Omaha is all about. And so how is the market in Omaha right now? Because, gosh, when we drive around, we sure see a lot of projects.
You know, I would say white hot. There's a lot of building going on, a lot of development, as you can see. I think Omaha's starting to really recreate itself. So for us, we have been getting in front of that commercial market, meeting with developers. I think there's a lot of others from around the region and the country that see Omaha as an opportunity. So we're working with some of those national organizations to do builds here as well. And then, of course, you know, just from a technology standpoint, we've seen that investment along Highway 50 and 370 as well. So it's definitely a very hot market. I mean, it's been going great.
So since last time you were on, we saw lumber prices and construction prices go crazy, and just specifically lumber prices went up 4.5 times or something like that, and we saw them come down about 40%. It looked like over the last month or so. Are those stabilizing, or what do you see on construction prices?
I think wood is definitely stabilizing. When it comes to other inputs, steel, copper, PVC, paint, I mean, just across the board are still going up. Lead times are still longer than they used to be. And so it's something that we definitely have a pulse on, tracking weekly of what things are doing, staying close to the market, especially larger mechanical, electrical, and steel, of what those inputs are doing. I don't see it, and we don't see it slowing down. We do produce a quarterly market analysis on Omaha, the region, and then the nation, and still see a lot of those inputs trending up.
Supply chain wise, are we seeing that getting strained out? There's a lot of concern about just getting the product no matter what the price was.
Yep, I mean, the demand is still up, and the other inputs, even related to getting materials to the site, is up. And so, again, there's just going to be continued delays in materials. So the sooner we know what we need, we can start to order that, procure it. It's going to help with timeline for sure.
We're talking with Patrick Sokol from Turner Construction. Patrick, what are some of the big projects that Turner is working on currently here in the Omaha area?
Interesting. Big is somewhat relative, so we have some smaller projects and some bigger projects. It is exciting that we're wrapping up build 5 and 6 of the data center work out on Highway 50. We just started scraping and putting in foundations for the next build, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 out on Highway 50. So for us, that's work now and 6, 7 years down the road, which we're excited about. And then we have some smaller things that we're doing. Chase Bank is here in this market. We've completed a few small TIs. Right now, we're doing a fit out and a rehab of a building on 132nd and Center for them. And then 5G technology continues to advance. We are working with Verizon. We're doing a lot of their 5G enabling across town. A lot of that's data center type work. And right now, too, we're over at Merck. There's some large projects going on. We're doing a lot of
Health, right?
Yeah, Merck Health, Merck Pharmaceutical. And we're just doing a lot of smaller projects for them, infrastructure type things, but they're really technical. There's a lot of policies and procedures with Merck that we need to follow to make sure that we don't mess up any of their labs and the technical
That's a good thing, yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's their complex along West Center Road at about, 216th, 210th. It's out there a ways.
Yeah, it's out there a ways, yep.
But yeah, it's amazing the amount of work that has been underway on that campus for a while now.
Yeah, for a long time. And there's steel going up right now for a larger project. That's taken a little bit of time just due to input costs and being able to get things to site. So,
Patrick, we were talking about some of the construction projects that you guys are doing, but you might be doing some work for yourselves here pretty soon. I understand you guys might build a facility for Turner to use here in the Omaha area.
yeah, I think what Turner's policy is we'll probably end up leasing that facility. We'll do definitely the build out of it, but we're looking at between 50 and 70,000 square foot of warehouse space. One reason, so we can get materials sooner, we can store them, make sure that we can meet schedule in that demanding environment for that client. And then on top of that, we're going to build out our SPO special projects operations inside there with prefab. And then we will have an office, roughly 3,000 square feet. So just give people a little larger, better working environment than where we're currently at. So,
You're well ingrained in Omaha the last few years.
yeah, we have. I think the story when I talk to people is Turner going to be around. And Turner is definitely going to be around. We're not going anywhere. We're investing heavily in people, in resources. We have great clientele. And then beyond that, we're digging into the community from a workforce development piece where we're helping to educate 18 to 30-year-olds, giving them a different way to get involved in construction versus a typical post-secondary education. That's also bringing us in touch with the underutilized business enterprises that exist, helping to educate them about general construction. So just trying to raise the bar across the board for construction in Omaha, Nebraska. So.
You know, it's interesting that you bring that up because when we talk about construction, one of the most frequently considered topics is the labor force shortage. And part of that is because we have a shortage of people who do just about anything right now in this economy. But construction has been booming in Omaha for some time now. And it seems like our construction grows faster than our population, which is probably a testament to our great economy here. But can you get into a little more detail about some of the things that Turner is doing to try and get those 18 to 30-year-olds that you mentioned to say, hey, maybe I do belong in that business?
Yeah, so I just starting early in high school, bringing them out to our job sites, walking them around. What's kind of exciting now, we're moving beyond some of the COVID pandemic things that were there, being able to actually bring students out in person, have them see in real time what goes on in a construction site, and then have them sit down with the different trade partners and really learn what happens from the mechanical standpoint or the electrical standpoint or even just general construction and drywall and things like that. So they really get a sense for construction.
Think about when we were in high school and junior high, and Jeff and I went through the West Side Community Schools. I don't know if most of us knew what we wanted to do 7th grade to 12th grade, and it's neat how Turner's coming in and saying, okay, give people some ideas, give kids focus so they kind of can set their sights a little bit.
Yeah, we're working with a lot of local organizations too to supply scholarship money. So in junior, senior year, putting up special projects for them to get involved in, and then we've had some great interns and those scholarship winners out to our offices and to the job site as well. And it's just great to see the excitement and the passion that people have for construction moving forward. So if we can continue to grow that, share with people what construction is, it's going to benefit Omaha. Hopefully it benefits Turner. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, but also just
the community at large.
Yeah, the community at large. So.
Hey, we have another minute with Patrick Sokol, Nebraska market leader for Turner Construction, which is doing a number of projects here in the Omaha area. Many of our listeners make construction decisions or they hire contractors for their projects. I've always thought it was kind of interesting. Turner works with clients well. They have a pre-construction approach that sets the company apart. What can you tell us about how you work with clients and how you do things early on to make projects a success?
That's a great question. Pre-con definitely does set us apart. I think one of the things is just our scale as a company and our reach around the country as far as projects. So we found, and we've had a lot of success in projects that are somewhat of a unicorn, a little different to Omaha. A developer or an organization is looking at this project and trying to get their head around it, trying to come up with really comp prices of where this building is going to come in at. And they also want it to be kept quiet. They don't want the market to know. They don't want to reach out to trade partners. So it really allows us to reach out across the country to our 46 other offices, find those projects, start to develop comps, and put together and establish a base cost for them that can be agreed upon, but that's trusted. And so I think that's one thing that definitely sets us apart. And then we do have incredible trade partner relationships. So I was out at a Sarpy County event last night, and they were talking about the billions of dollars that are happening in Sarpy County with projects. And, we looked around the room, and the rest of my colleagues at Turner just smiled because a large percentage of that work is our work that we're doing. And so we have fantastic trade partner relationships. So when we do need to reach out, we do need to understand the numbers really well. We have really trusted partners.
And we understand, you just told us that the Sarpy County Economic Development Corporation has changed their name.
They have.
You break it here first.
Yeah, announced last night they're going to be called Grow Sarpy.
Do you think it has anything to do with the Grow Omaha show?
I was going to say that name rings a bell.
It sounded quite familiar when they announced it. So
I'm just going to say we have no problem with that, but if the Greater Omaha Chamber decides to call themselves Grow Omaha, we're going to have a little chat. So
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
That's true, but let's just put that out there right now. There's not going to be a Grow Omaha for the Greater Omaha Chamber. Well, unless we start opening checkbooks. But okay. But Patrick, we really appreciate you being a part of the show today, and really appreciate all the things that you and your colleagues are doing for the Omaha built environment. It's amazing what Turner Construction's up to.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, we enjoy coming on the show, being a sponsor as well. So thanks for the opportunity to come in and share a little bit about Turner and what Turner's doing in the community. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll have you back next quarter.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, Patrick Sokol, Nebraska leader for Turner Construction. Going to take our middle of the show break, and when we come back, it's time to talk history. Brand new book just published this month. It's called A History Lover's Guide to Omaha. We have the author Eileen Wirth with us. You're going to love this. Stay with us. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
All righty.
And I got a little cotton mouth on that.
You're
You did great. Yeah, that's good. And
Good job.
we should do that every quarter, like talk projects too, because people love to hear, what you're involved in, what you're doing, and all that.
Yeah,
so.
we put out some really great numbers this week. We'll find out next week about 3 or 4 other projects. I'm really hopeful. So
Yeah.
Keep it up.
fingers crossed. So,
I'm sure it's all because of the show, right? The
Oh,
sponsorship.
that definitely helps. And people recognize us more and more. So
We
We
love hearing
appreciate
that.
it.
yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. I really. You can stick around if you want to.
Well, do you mind if I?
No, yeah, whatever
thank
works.
you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I know you got places
Yep.
to go.
Man's
so.
got to work. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll listen
Nice to meet
Saturday.
you.
Good to meet you too.
Thanks, Patrick. We really appreciate it. Again, thanks for the sponsorship.
Yeah, you bet.
Do you want me here?
We will have
Totally.
you right here, Eileen. There you go.
We'll show. Video.
No,
type
since
stuff.
I'm a little shorter, do
Okay.
you want them?
Yeah, just
Get in
what
touch,
you
'cause
what
we
you
have
want
some
it. In
video
fact,
stuff I want to do.
Okay.
So,
Great.
yeah. Thank you.
use this a little bit.
All right.
That way when you're talking with us, it'll.
When I don't understand, I just go, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That works. All right. Okay. So we'll just ask the basic ones like we did with the zoo book when we had John for that one.
Yeah, I've done this before.
Okay. Yeah, it's all
Seasoned professional.
Now, do you? I see there's a Carol McCabe. Is she a co-author or the? What?
Carol is my colleague and photographer.
Okay.
She took a lot of the pictures in the book, and we researched the book together.
Okay.
So, yeah, I want to definitely mention Carol.
Give her a shout
So
out.
I should say by Eileen Wirth and Carol McCabe then.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me just check one little
Yeah.
thing here.
Everything good?
Everything good.
Okay, we're excellent. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll do the Noddle thing as part of this. All together, we'll probably do about a 9 to 9.5 minute segment, and then we'll save 4 to 4.5 minutes for you and me.
Nice work.
Could I mention that I'm going to do a talk and a signing at the Bookworm on
Sure.
August 22nd,
Yeah.
Sure. Do you know the time?
1 p.m. That's Sunday, August 22nd.
Signing, and there's a little lecture or something.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to give a
1
little,
to just 1 p.m.
probably sometime, I'd say between 1 and 2.
You said what date?
August
Sunday,
22nd.
August 22nd.
22nd. Okay. All right. Are we ready, folks?
Yep.
Videographer ready.
Ready?
Guest ready.
Ready?
Co-pilot ready.
Ready.
Alrighty, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to Grow Omaha. This is the show that you listen to if you want to be in the know about how your city is changing. I'm Jeff Beal, sitting next to Trenton Bradley Magid. We are from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing. Hey, we do want to mention it is the Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight brought to you by Noddle Companies. We appreciate Noddle Companies being a sponsor of the show. And they have so many projects going on in the Omaha area. Last week, we talked about the new 115,000 square foot building they are constructing near Nebraska Crossing. Also making progress on their row houses at 38th and Dewey by the Med Center. Those things are going to look great. Coming along nicely. Earlier in the show, we were talking about activity in the Blackstone District. That is yet another example of housing options that are coming to Blackstone. And we also want to have you not forget that Noddle Companies also does Exarban. They're doing River's Edge and Council Bluffs, Steel Ridge, and Gretna, and that's in addition to projects all over the Midwest. So we thank Noddle Companies for being our sponsor and for being an Omaha-based company that is one of the top real estate developers in the region. Well, we want to talk a little bit about some Omaha history right now. New book that is out by a well-known Omaha author, Eileen Wirth, and co-authored by Carol McCabe. We have Eileen with us here in the studio. The book is called A History Lover's Guide to Omaha. Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning, Jeff. Good
Welcome
morning,
back.
Jim. Thank you.
Good to have you back on the show. And you are a prolific author.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. Yeah, and my specialty has turned out to be local history.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love writing about it. I've been in Omaha since 1969, and this is my probably 4th or 5th book on local history.
Well, we had you on the show not too many years ago, talking about the book that chronicles the history of the Henry Doorly Zoo. That was outstanding.
Thank you very much. Well, this is by the same publisher. They have a nationwide series on History Lover's Guide to XYZ City, and they asked if I would do the one on Omaha. And I said, sure. And then interesting things happened. I was working on another book project, which I'll probably come back to you about, a history of Omaha women that hopefully is going to come out next spring or late next spring or summer, University of Nebraska Press. But they came to me and I said, well, I can't do it until I get done with that. Then the pandemic hit. And then my dear friend Carol, who like me is a Creighton University retiree, and Carol and I have collaborated on things before. And Carol and I were trying to figure out, how do you do a guide to what amounts to local history when you can't go in any museums or any of the historic buildings because everything is closed down. So we came up with what I now think was kind of like necessity is the mother of invention. So we came up with the idea of looking on the historic streetscape with historic buildings, the state historic markers, historic neighborhoods, parks, cemeteries, golf courses, you name it. And we have divided Omaha east of 72nd Street, which is really, for the most part, the historic area. And we took various neighborhood segments, did chapters around them, and then created tours so that you could either drive or you could stop your car if you wanted to walk someplace or find a particular historic marker. But we have, for all the various old neighborhoods, we have these walking and driving tours.
That sounds fantastic.
Makes sense.
And you can get, I don't want to forget this, people can buy the book on Amazon.com.
Yes, and better still, since you promote local businesses, they can buy it at local bookstores. And I particularly want to give a shout out to two that are great. Next Chapter Bookstore at 25th and Varnum, and the Bookworm at 90th and Center. Those are, I really, really want to support these local booksellers who support local authors. They're
Hometown favorites.
Wonderful.
Well, and speaking of the Bookworm, I understand you're going to be doing a lecture and a signing at the Bookworm?
That's correct. On Sunday, August 22nd at 1 o'clock. And I would love to have everybody come out for it and give Beth Black, the owner, who is phenomenal, give her some business.
And there'll be plenty of copies for sale?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's August 22nd at 1 o'clock at the Bookworm, 90th and Center on the northeast corner.
Yes.
So, Eileen, first of all, we're talking with Eileen Wirth, one of the two authors of A History Lover's Guide to Omaha, just published this month. What are a couple of stories that people might find in the book that would be fascinating?
Well, I think if you wanted to have an overall theme for the book, Omaha sometimes gets criticized, and possibly justifiably so, because we tend to destroy historic buildings, i.e. Jobbers Canyon. But the real story in many ways is we save buildings and districts if they make economic sense. And I think one of the things that we've found in doing this is the interesting mixture of old, new, and especially renovated, repurposed buildings all over in almost every district. For example, one of my favorites, and I want to give a real shout out to these wonderful people at the Great Plains Black History Museum. That is in the historic Jewel Building right off 24th Street in North Omaha. And it was built as a venue for African-American Omaha back in the 30s, and it became the place where all of the nation's greatest African-American jazz musicians performed. And it's gone through a couple of iterations, but now it is the Great Plains Black History Museum, and just an absolutely wonderful place. It's right next to the Union for Contemporary Arts. Now, as you well know, both of you, I'm a former World Herald reporter, and I started my career in Omaha in '69. I spent a lot of time in both North and South Omaha. But the thing that I think amazed me most were the many improvements and exciting developments going on in North Omaha. And I really hope readers of this book will take that chapter and that tour, because they're going to be really amazed at some of what they see and enjoy. So
There's a lot of other great North Omaha projects, 75 North, and a lot of investment and a lot of new projects going up in North Omaha as well.
right. And the housings, there are just so many great housing projects. And some fun eating places, too. We also recommend, Carol and I toured, since we couldn't go in buildings, we spent a lot of time just driving around, and we started looking at eating places and ice cream stops and donut shops and parks and things that if you are doing the tour of, say, Florence, what are some of the parks where you could take the kids and let them get out of the car and run, or have an ice cream cone at Zesto's, or go have coffee at Harold's Coffee Shop, neighborhood places, the cathedral area, you've got Lisa's Radio Cafe on 40th Street. All these great neighborhood gems. We try to highlight these.
Well, it's part of the History Lover's Guide, a series of books, and this is Omaha's iteration of that book by Eileen, Wirth, and Carol McCabe. Don't forget, you can not only get it online, but the signing at the Bookworm on August 22nd. Eileen, appreciate you joining us, and thank you for making this contribution to Omaha culture and history and just life.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I thought I knew Omaha really pretty well before writing this book. And then just going on all these neighborhood tours and having made these lists of places and going, oh my gosh, I did not know that this or that happened at this or that building. And talking about the Blackstone area, that is very exciting. The Kimpton Cottonwood and all the stuff going on there. It's a great example of what we were talking about how you repurpose old buildings. In this case, we're taking something that was originally a hotel, became offices, and now it's back to being a spectacular hotel. And just to hang out in that area. And Benson area used to be, it's kind of going down, and now it's so vibrant and exciting. And I hope people will take our recommendations. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it was our pleasure, and we appreciate you writing the book. Eileen Wirth, who, along with Carol McCabe, author of A History Lover's Guide to Omaha. We're going to take our final break of the hour, and when we come back, it'll be the lightning round from Turner Construction. Lots of stuff. You don't want to miss it. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge. News Radio, 1110 KFAB.
Can I buy that one for you?
Yeah, absolutely. $20. I'll sell it.
Does that include gift wrap?
I was going to say I'm selling it for cheaper. I'm underselling the bookstores
You're
by
fine.
$4 because people have 20. I'm going to sign it.
Oh, awesome.
This will determine where you and Amy hang out for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, no.
No, it's very funny.
She challenges me on finding fun things to do in Omaha, so.
I mean, you would be kind of amazed. I was walking all the time last year during the pandemic, and Carol and I were doing this, and I'm walking. I live in the Exarban area.
Oh, now I can't resell it because you put my name on it.
I
That's
know.
good. Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, I'm realizing here in a parking lot in the Scott campus is a historic marker of was it the horse?
Omaha.
The horse.
It's called
Oh,
Omaha.
Omaha
yeah.
the horse.
Yeah.
They couldn't
And I
find
thought-
it at first.
Do you remember where where the marker used to be when Exarban was still open? It was kind of on the western entrance, and it was in the middle of a big traffic circle. I remember always thinking that was so
Vaguely,
cool.
but yeah.
But they couldn't find the horse body.
Well, and then we had a hard time. There are two of them out there on the, in the general Exarban area, and the other one, I think they moved it. The other one is of the U.S. Airmail Service.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's in Stinson Park.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a hard time finding that, but we had to kind of really look for some of the markers.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun driving. Carol, my co-author and dear friend, is a cemetery freak. She just loves going through historic cemeteries. And we're driving around Forest Lawn and Prospect Hill and Holy Sepulchre and the Bohemian Cemetery. And we're just seeing all these names and going, oh my God, that's where you see these mausoleums. It's just amazing.
Yeah. There's 2 Brandeis that are buried where my father's buried, in the Temple Israel Cemetery, north 6500 North 42nd, I believe. Emil, who I believe was on he died on the Titanic, and they found him floating with cash on him and a suit and cigars or whatever. He let the women and children go first, of course, and paid with his life. And then his father is there as well.
Wow. I mean, and the thing is, we couldn't begin to hit everything, but we hit a lot of it.
Yeah.
And so it turned out to be, I think actually, in a way, a blessing in disguise.
COVID.
COVID hasn't been a blessing in disguise.
I understand what you're saying.
But the fact that we were forced to improvise and do these neighborhood tours.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did, then I know I have to get out of here and let you guys go back to doing your thing. But what we did, because a lot of these neighborhoods are a little bit.
Is that Marty Schukert?
What?
Is Marty Schukert in
Well, what I did, Marty's a dear friend
That's
and the
great.
smartest guy in Omaha, I
Agreed.
think. And so I went to
Personally, I take
Marty.
offense to that, but go ahead.
Well, I went to Marty and asked him to give us an overview of the way Omaha developed. Because you won't understand the neighborhoods unless you understand the big picture of city development. And so Marty did that. And then what also Marty did was we had downloaded all the National Register of buildings and local, et cetera. And downtown there are about 9 zillion of these. And we were trying to get on the really significant ones. And so I asked Marty for he went through all these lists and said, these are the most important, architecturally, historically, and got it down to a manageable number, especially downtown. Because, some of these are just office buildings, and it's like, but he told us the ones that had real significance. But you can see what we did was we give directions. We say, turn right here, turn left here. Because
that's what the History Lover's Guide is supposed to do.
Well, the other thing is, if you've ever driven around Florence, and if you just put the names of the places and their addresses, because believe me, we tried it that way, you're going to spend a lot of time driving by stuff and missing stuff and saying it's supposed to be here. Or, for example, like we tried to find the Malcolm X birth site.
Yeah.
Now, I had tried to find out that for my History Lover's Guide, or my book on Omaha women, and I couldn't find the darn thing. Carol and I found a route where you can drive right up to it. So we give street instructions, and some of these things are not arranged in an order that is intuitive. Like in the cathedral area, we did a lot of kind of back and forth-ish, but it was actually the way to go, because the shortest distance between 2 points in Omaha is frequently not a straight line. And you're going to catch more if you go here, you go west here, and then go, So we figured out the routes for our readers. And so all they have to do is follow these instructions, and they'll catch the stuff.
This is mine.
That's yours.
Oh, that's pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because, if you think about it, a lot of these are places but if you look at the guide, the driving instructions, you're going to miss a lot of the places if you were just trying to find based on addresses.
I got a co-pilot.
That's pretty cool, Eileen. It's impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's great.
Well, anyway, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know how to get out?
Yeah.
A nice contribution
Thank
to
you.
Omaha.
Well, you have to do something in retirement,
Yeah.
especially during a pandemic.
Yeah, you can't sit around.
Working in retirement. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Eileen. Appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Bye, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
So we'll do a quick lightning round, about 4 minutes.
Okay.
And we've got make sure that's nothing that affects what we're doing here right now.
Headphones are blowing up too.
Okay. E-scoot. Okay. Alrighty. You want to go back to that microphone and get rid of this one? Would that work better, Amy?
Oh, I don't know. Yes. Oh, yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Push that
I
back.
think,
Hallelujah.
You good?
Even moving that
Oh,
microphone made it
you-
cooler in here. Yeah, could it be any hotter in
Hotter?
this room? For those of you watching at home, it is hotter than hell in the studio. It always is. We're not doing the show live. Normally we do the show live, but once in a while we have to record. And this is one of those recorded ones. And whenever we're in here, regardless of the time of year, winter, summer, fall, spring, it's always hot
cozy
in this room. All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Welcome back to Grow Omaha. Glad you have joined us on News Radio 1110 KFAB. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid here. And this is the Lightning Round, brought to you by Turner Construction, where we cover a lot of news in a short period of time. Turner Construction is building for the future with more than 150 full-time Turner employees in this area. Big projects like the Sarpy County Data Center and small projects as well, everything in between. And we thank Turner Construction for being the sponsor of our Lightning Round. Turner Construction. Well, CoStar has entered into an agreement with us. They're going to start giving us a piece of news content every week that we can share with people. That's so cool. Very nice of them to do that.
Great analytics, great market information.
Yeah.
And Kate Harlan and Bryce Hudak are the local reps here, and it's an amazing organization. They're huge now, and they really help real estate professionals understand the market.
So normally we'll do this during the news of the week, but we just kind of saved it for now just to kind of announce it here. But the news this week is search engine giant Google is the latest major employer to delay plans to fully reopen its offices as coronavirus cases start to inch back up across the country. And more contagious Delta variant is gaining a foothold. So that's concerning. The Mountain View, California-based company with a U.S. workforce of about 145,000 people, including quite a few here in the Omaha metro area, would push its initial September return to the office to at least mid-October, an announcement that comes about a week after fellow tech giant Apple made a similar call. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what type of impact that might have on us locally as those numbers continue to increase, but hopefully don't. Varsity Sports Cafe and Roman Coin Pizza has closed at 49th and Dodge. Other locations are still open, but actively, Gabby Estivo in our office is actively looking for a new restaurant to take that space.
About 4,900 square feet, I believe.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
4,900 at 49th and Dodge. At
Perfect,
4,900
yeah.
Dodge.
Easy to remember, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I tried. I have a weakness for Chicago style hot dogs.
Okay.
Love those things. And so someone told me that a place called Chicago Dog 42 opened up in the Oakview Mall. So last Sunday, believe it or not, I went to the Oakview Mall. And I first walked around, and believe it or not, it's not quite as depressing as I thought it would be. There are actually a decent number of stores that are open, including some national brand names. But at any rate, so I go to this Chicago Dog 42 in the Oakview Mall. Outstanding.
They got good love
It
on
was so good.
Omaha Food Lovers. A lot of great feedback on that.
Highly recommend it. Yeah. Construction. A lot of people have been asking us lately. I answer or receive a lot of the emails that people send into the various Grow Omaha emails. What's being built at? A lot of people have asked about 178th and Pacific in front of the Hy-Vee there. That will be a location for Brakes Plus.
Okay.
So auto
There
care.
you go, ladies and gentlemen.
9 existing Omaha area locations, another one for Brakes Plus. And Cunningham Lake reopens August 5th after a 3-year, $23 million renovation and upgrade. That's it for this week. We got to call it quits, Trenton. So I hope everyone has a great week. You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by NAI NP Dodge and D&M Roofing. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
We will chat with you again next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.